Good morning, everyone. It's 7 a.m. in Qatar. Welcome to our panel discussion called Institutions During the Pandemic, Issues and Perspectives. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Nara Avtandilyan, and I am an English lecturer at Community College of Qatar. My co-presenter today is Dr. Mohammad Manasreh, and he will introduce yourself. Dr. Mohammad, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nara. I'm Mohammad, and I'm a lecturer at Qatar University at the Foundation Program in Qatar University. And I was the head of department between 2015 and in August 2021. So pretty much during the pandemic, I was in charge. And today we're going to share some of our experiences with TESOL during the pandemic for both institutions, Qatar University and the Community College of Qatar. Hopefully you'll find our experience beneficial and useful in some way. Thank you. And by the way, this is my department, and the wonderful colleagues in the photo are the other English language teachers in the department. There are 140 plus of us, and the photo was taken just right before the pandemic. Thank you.
Very nice photo. I was looking at it yesterday and thinking such a huge department. Okay, would you like me to slide to this slide or?
Yeah, this is just a brief overview of the department. We offer 15 courses, and I think it's similar at CCQ as well, because we mirror each other, and we have an equivalency agreement between the two institutions, and we get a lot of students from CCQ, so their courses are pretty much the same. We have foundation level non-accredited bearing courses. We have the embedded program, which is for the Arabic track students, and we have the post foundation, which is for those who passed the IELTS with 5.5. And as I said, we have a wonderful team of faculty members teaching these courses from 70 plus nationalities.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Mohammad. So I will, Dr. Mohammad covered already about the institution, so I will not talk about CCQ. It's almost the same as you said. I will move to our first questions. So we are really excited to have everyone here today. So what we find to be really interesting is the discussion about issues and perspectives presented to the community during the pandemic. Just feel free to submit questions as we go through the panel discussion. That said, we are going to save the last 5 minutes to go through and answer the questions. Of course, we'll try to get through all of them or as many as we can. All right. Recently, the lifting of COVID restrictions announced by the government allow for all full return to face-to-face teaching in higher education. Students are craving human contact after spending months learning in their bedrooms. The overwhelming feedback is that they want the full campus experience and plenty of face-to-face interaction. So to begin with, the COVID-19 pandemic has changed education forever. It has resulted in schools and universities shut all across the world. And as a result, education has changed dramatically, with a distinctive rise of e-learning, whereby teaching was undertaken remotely and on digital platforms. So the first question of our panel discussion is, what were the main challenges at your institution during the COVID-19 pandemic? How did you and your colleagues react to such changes? Dr. Mohammad, could you go first?
Okay, thank you very much, Nara. In fact, I believe the challenges we faced are similar to the challenges faced by TESOL practitioners around the globe. We had problems with the technology at the beginning. Institutions were not prepared. There were no plan Bs, and we had to rush to secure enough subscriptions for our thousands of students. Then we struggled with how to run our assessments, and we had a mandate from the university to run the midterms and finals on campus. So we had to go through logistics, social distancing, and other health requirements. We also had the problem of changing the curriculum that was designed to be delivered face-to-face into a remotely delivered course, for example. And to do that, we had to remove some parts of the curriculum, add new parts, add new interactive online learning objects, and on top of all of that, we had to deal with the mental health of faculty members. The pandemic might seem manageable at the moment, or predictable. Let's see, more predictable. But back at the beginning, it was unprecedented. It was unpredictable, and people didn't know what was coming on, and the mental health was affected. We had faculty who were stranded outside the country for months. The borders were closed for around 8 months, and they didn't know whether they were coming back or not. We had students who were stranded overseas and couldn't come back, and we had all sorts of the challenges that were faced by colleagues around the globe. And I believe, Nara, you will touch on similar challenges as well.
Yeah, thank you.
It's over to you, Nara, now.
Thank you. So what you said, I agree with you. I think after the initial shock of a global pandemic, we were all shocked. We felt a certain ease in Qatar. We thought we were a very small country, quite far away from everything, and perhaps, it's just going to pass us by. But when we started seeing the initial stages of the pandemic, slowly it developed and the cases started to increase. That's when we came to the realization that this pandemic is going to come, and it's here, and we are going to have to strategize. There's a lot of strategies. I mean, it was, let's say, the initial shock, and then from the shock was how we are going to face these challenges, the challenges of teaching and learning, the challenges of closing all the colleges and all of the teaching to be shifted online, students to stay at home. We also have lockdowns in place as well. So the teachers would be at home as well. I think there were various meetings that were called at the managerial level, and it was decided that they would, first of all, actually look at strategies that they use collectively, what other institutions are doing at that time, what Qatar University is doing, what CNAQ is doing. So CCQ tried to keep the strategies the same. So this would help the students wherever they are, experience the same kind of learning that was going on. So teaching and learning were first factors. How are we going to continue teaching? The students' learning should not be affected, or should kind of like be catered for, because that was a new experience. One of the things that we, at that stage, when the first announcement came, that there would be no more teaching from a certain day. We had midterm exam, as Dr. Mohammad said, coming up in about 2 weeks' time. So this was one of the first challenges we faced. What to do with our midterm exams at that time. And I think the decision was made to cancel the midterm exams and use a replacement to evaluate students' level at that time, whether it was an online exam or whether it was a teacher-led evaluation. So this was first of the challenges. And the other challenges we faced is, before the pandemic, some teachers perhaps would shy away from using IT, embracing IT in their teaching, as Dr. Mohammad covered already about this. And this is something else that we faced, that we had a certain group of teachers who didn't have the skills required to carry on teaching. So we needed to provide training, support, mentoring, and also assisting them to carry on delivering the teaching and not allowing it to affect the students at the same time. So skills upscaling, the teachers and the department created workshops. My department created a platform for teachers, a website for teachers, actually, video tutorials to how to do things, how to use Teams. We use Teams to conduct our teaching. And at that time, it was something very new. So there was a lot of training that was required. Usually we use Thursdays for our training as our training day. At that stage, where things started to slightly become easier, the management had more opportunity to think about online testing, think about more emotional and logistical support that administration needed to offer their teachers, as well as our learners at the same time. So these were some of the strategies that we introduced with the help of the management, the higher education authorities, and also partner colleges and universities. Do you have anything to cover, Dr. Mohammad, regarding the first question?
No, that's fine. But I would like to emphasize what you said about cooperating with other institutions. I remember that the help we received from colleagues at CCQ and the other TESOL units in the country was very critical in helping us successfully combat the effects of the pandemic. So that's a very good point. And within the department also, we needed more cooperation, and the support that faculty gave to each other was also essential in delivering our lessons online. Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Absolutely right. Thank you. I will move to our next question. And before I ask the question, I want to introduce the preamble. Throughout the pandemic, educators have faced unique challenges and tremendous pressure. We know it. From quickly adapting to remote learning to balancing the impacts of pandemic on their personal lives, the past year has seen educators particularly overwhelmed with stress, trauma, and burnout. Although those in the education sphere have engaged in a great deal of discussion about the best way to provide social and emotional supports to students during and after the pandemic, it is essential that the social and emotional needs of educators are also part of the conversation, especially since educators are often the individuals most likely to provide initial supports for students. So my next question is how teachers and students' emotional well-being were supported during the pandemic. Dr. Mohammad, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Or I can come, if you want, I will go first this time, as you like. You tell me.
No, I'll go fast. That's okay with me. And then you can share with us your experience at the community college in Qatar. So at Qatar University, we again the well-being of faculty is very important, and during the pandemic, as you said, faculty were stressed and students were also stressed. So it was very important to make things clear to them, to share with faculty whatever support we could share. We had a team of volunteers who would even go to faculty houses and help them with the grocery shopping. And
wow.
we wanted students to feel supported, so we kept running our online. We had face-to-face tutoring services through our student support unit within the department called Success Zone. We have around 7 wonderful TAs who work in that unit, so they decided to continue their services online. We shared the links with students, and on top of that, we had online meetings, online gatherings, weekly updates with faculty. We had a memo, a weekly memo. We also sent faculty some notifications from the university, from the Ministry of Health, about the requirements to come to campus, for example, about the available services on campus, about the website they can consult, about the resources they can access. We had some online elements in our courses before the pandemic, but during the pandemic, within courses, faculty tried to develop more resources for that are more suitable for online teaching. And so we made sure these resources were available online and faculty could access them, and students also were given sort of some waivers from the regulations. So students who had a ban on their records, or they had some holds and they had issues, the university decided to allow them to remove these holds, and for example, to register in 18 hours instead of 12, or if they had a warning that shouldn't affect the other restrictions. So in a way or another, we wanted students to feel that there is some positivity out there in the pandemic. And as I said, mental health for both faculty and students was a major challenge for everyone during the pandemic. Over to you, Nara.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammad. It seems the department, your university, had very emphatic. In fact, they had lots of empathy for their teachers and students. So did CCQ. So, as adults, we all have diverse needs and different ways of coping with stressful situations. For students, it is the same. So some students dealt well with restrictions and college closures caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. For others, it was challenging to cope with all the changes and uncertainty. Some students returned to college having experienced some level of stress, anxiety, isolation, and grief, as students were impacted in multiple ways by COVID-19 and the closure of colleges. It was critical that we were mindful of their emotional well-being. As a teacher, it was essential to listen to students' concerns and demonstrate understanding as well as empathy. I offered my students the opportunity to have a one-to-one conversation with me to reconnect and discuss any concerns that might have arisen when the college was closed. Before teaching new academic content to students, I took time to check how students were doing. They could have difficulty concentrating at first or might need more time to get back into the routine of learning. So I provided opportunities for students to take breaks, even if when they were in the class, to move around and reconnect with their friends and peers. Well, I engaged students in making the classroom or virtual platform when we were teaching online on Teams a welcoming, safe, and comfortable space. Students worked in small groups so they could support each other to catch up on learning. With the stress, with the classes, when the classes were online, I'd create breakout rooms, I'm sure all of you know, where the students worked in groups. I let them know that being supportive of each other would help them get through this together. I praised students for their contributions and efforts. I fostered feelings of safety and security by interacting and developing positive relationships with each other, with each student, and using routine during the day to help students feel safe and secure. I'm sure my colleagues did the same, because during the meetings we would share our experiences and we would share almost the same ways how we dealt with students' emotions. So I believe teachers can be positive role models for their students. They will look at you and learn from the skills you use daily to deal with stressful situations. I was calm, honest, and caring, and demonstrated a positive attitude to students. Teaching can be extremely stressful profession, particularly during pandemic. I made sure to protect my own physical and mental health, for example, connected with family and colleagues, maintained healthy eating, sleeping habits, rested and exercise, because I knew the students are looking up at me. So I had to take care of myself as well. So these were the things that I was doing during the pandemic regarding the teachers and students' emotional well-being. Okay, thank you. Now I will move to the third question. Would you like to read the first question, Dr. Mohammad, or do you want me to read? That's fine. Okay. So my first question refers to curriculum innovation in times of the COVID-19 pandemic. So the drawbacks of online teaching, for example, students' inadequate autonomous learning, the lack of effective online instruction, forced us to modify teaching strategies during this special period, especially developing courses that are suitable for students learning at home and improving their key competencies. So my question to us, I will move the slide. Okay, my question to us is, how did our institution design effective and interesting online courses suitable under pandemic and capable of improving students' thinking abilities and key competencies? Over to you,
Nara,
Dr.
I will start. Yeah, I will start with a brief account of what happened at Qatar University. I don't think it was sort of educational innovation, but rather innovative mitigation, because the nature of face-to-face teaching is completely different from remote teaching. Remote teaching is an alternative. It's a plan B. It's when face-to-face is unavailable. And if there's one thing we can take out from the pandemic, is that both students and faculty agree that their preferable mode of studying is face-to-face. The pandemic made us appreciate the blessing of being able to teach face-to-face. So in order to mitigate the situation created by the pandemic, we wanted to make online teaching as interactive as possible, as similar to face-to-face teaching as possible. So we've luckily we had Blackboard, not enough subscriptions at the beginning, but I think the ITS could fix that in a couple of days, because we had an initial 2-week break after when the remote when face-to-face was ceased. We had a sudden decision to give faculty and students a 2-week break so we could prepare ourselves. We had to attend PDs. The IT department could fix issues, make sure that both platforms, because we have we were allowed to use only 2 platforms, either Microsoft Teams or Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, and ultimately we found Blackboard Collaborate Ultra to be more convenient, and that was the official learning management system for online teaching. So within that platform, we had a lot of functionalities, including the breakout, so we could use groups. And since our courses were also on Blackboard, so we could use the assessment tools, the e-learning tools on Blackboard. We could use the Turnitin, which is part of Blackboard. We could also design sort of online activities, online assignments, auto-gradable assignments through Blackboard, and we could integrate other tools like OneNote and the other interactive tools within Blackboard as well. And even we had a plan to integrate our the commercially available textbooks. They come with an online version, and that version contains a lot of extra activities, and we have online books for most of our courses. So we were prior to the pandemic in talks with the publishers to integrate that with the Blackboard as well. So when students do their workbook, for example, online through their ebook, the results can be seen by the instructor through Blackboard. So we were lucky to have the right platform at the right time, but still we also struggled to engage students in our online teaching. We wanted them to attend, to participate. So we introduced 5 marks for online participation to every course. That made students just take part and participate. We also gave more freedom to faculty. We changed the weighting. We placed 70% on midterms and finals and 30% on the rest of the course, because midterms and finals were on campus. They were more authentic, more reliable. We had a problem with testing as other institutions did. So we give a lot of freedom to faculty to design their courses, to use whatever resources they find suitable. And I think we're running out of time, so I don't want to take much of your time now. So it's over to you.
Just take your time. Just take your time if you have anything else to say.
I've covered the main points with regards to the curriculum and the design of new activities suitable to.
Yeah, great points. Very interesting, Dr. Mohammad. Thank you. So as for us, CCQ, we used to design effective and interesting online courses suitable for our learners. First of the things perhaps that I could comment on here is, prior to the pandemic, we had this, and this is something that we're kind of like known for. It's the hybrid learning and the hybrid courses that we offer, both within the college, and there is the bachelor's program, in our college, and the associate program in business, which is hybrid modeled. So this was already happening prior to the pandemic. For English language teaching, our department had started, the project had already been initiated to create elementary kind of level hybrid material that could be utilized, not for a pandemic, but it would be utilized for the students before pandemic. So we wanted to study this mode of learning. And when the pandemic came, the material that we were designing in the hybrid team, the pandemic accelerated, it really accelerated the process. So the material was there. We had some material which was ready and which could be utilized by the by that time. It gave us more synergy to create more hybrid material, to create and to try to use different software, not just Blackboard, but to use software that could integrate into Blackboard quite smoothly at the same time. It would be learner friendly. especially for the lower levels, the elementary levels, which would require less input from the teacher's perspective, and it would be more, friendly and more learner-driven. So that first of the key things that I felt that came out of the pandemic needs is that the hybrid the hybrid learning pushed off. Our department has integrated books into the learning management LMS, as Dr. Mohammad said. You also have ebooks. So we integrated our ebooks into the, into the Blackboard, and we had gone paperless. I mean, we only have ebooks, so when the pandemic did strike, it was there. And we did not have to worry about how the books would be distributed, how the students would receive these books. So this was quite like a win-win situation. I also used scenario-based learning that stimulated the real-life situation and motivated learners to apply skills or knowledge. I use them even now. So I created these scenarios, in RISE 360, which is an educational app. Learners use critical thinking skills to make decisions and solve problems. So scenario-based learning motivates learners and engages them, which will increase the retention of skills and knowledge and reduce the forgetting curve. So these are the things that we did at CCQ. And I think if Mohammed has anything to add, I will be glad to accept. Otherwise, we will move to the next question, to question 4.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nara. I really appreciate that. And I think we've covered all of the related elements, but I think since we're already 2 minutes beyond the time allotted to this session, and I think the audience of the next session might be expecting you, the next presenter.
Oh, it is myself, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we are presenting until 8. So, sorry, we covered only. Thanks for reminding this to me. According to Einstein, time flies quickly if you're doing an interesting thing, right? So thank you very much. This was a great, this was really a fascinating session with you, Dr. Mohammad, as usual. And thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your time. Thanks, Melanie, for your support, and thanks everyone who joined us today. This is the end of the session. Dr. Mohammad, if you have anything else to add.
No, I just would like to thank you and thank TESOL Arabia, Melanie, and the other TESOL Arabia organizers for the opportunity. And I wish you good luck with your next session. I would love to attend, but I need to get ready for my flight. So.
No problem, and safe travels.